y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at the Exposed collection coming from the Perfect Match System by LeChat Nails. These were sent to me for review and I'll link their new storefront down below. It has a really easy to shop option. I will be showing you these swatched in the Dare to Wear lacquer line as well as the Perfect Match gel line. So on all of my nails, the middle nail will be gel and the others will be the lacquer. So first off, I want to show you the incredibly cute packaging. They come packed in a duo if you're going for the Perfect Match System. In one window you see the lacquer and in the other window you get to see the gel. So I feel like the packaging is a really good indicator of the color inside as well. For all of my gel swatches, I will be using the On to the Next base coat from Cuticula. I'll link that down below if you're interested for easy removal. So first up, I'm going to show you Innocence, and this is the lightest nude shade of the collection. This is a very soft ballet pink cream. These all do have a little bit of that squishy, almost jelly feel, but they do get opaque on their own really easy. So I'll go ahead and show you that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Innocence swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. With these light, nude, kind of almost squishy jelly type formulas, I feel like I need to go in a little bit thicker here. These you absolutely don't have to. Here's a look at that first coat. Really close to being full coverage. I did still have a little bit of nail line, and these did tend to pull up a little bit around the edges when they were drying, so I definitely do recommend going in thinner. Here's a look at my second coat. It does bring this one easily opaque with no issues. It does dry down to a nice glossy finish. Next, I'll show you how it's swatched in the Perfect Match gel. So here's a look at that brush. There is a very big difference between the formula of the gel and the creams. I do find that the gels are a little bit creamier, more opaque, and less squishy feeling. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, I am swatching over that Cuticula onto the next base coat. One coat, I did go in a little bit thicker here, so I did try to thin it out a little bit. One coat made for awesome coverage. I did have a little bit of low spot going on there, so I cured it for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to show you how it builds up with a second coat. This second coat does for sure bring this completely opaque, and spoiler alert, every single polish in this collection, be it the Dare to Wear lacquer or the gel, was easily and completely opaque in just 2 coats. So here's a look at that completed mani, again with gel on my middle nail and lacquer on the others, before a glossy top coat, so these do dry down nice and glossy. This is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath artificial lighting. So next up is a Nude Affair, and this is another very soft pink toned nude. It does have maybe a little bit deeper of a ballet tone there with some more camel tones in there. It's really hard to describe these nudes, but it is just a little bit deeper than the first one. So here's a quick look at that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Nude Affair is swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, I did go in a little bit thicker than I recommend here. I did have a little bit of pooling, but it made for amazing coverage here at the first coat. I did have a little flash of nail line that's a little bit easier to see off camera, as well as a low spot. These do, however, do a great job at self-leveling all on their own. So I'll go ahead and show you how that second coat builds up. It is completely opaque. I feel like I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record here because these do pretty much have the same formula across the board and they are really close in tone. So next I'll show you how the gel polish swatches. Here's a quick look at that brush shot. You can really tell here how creamy the gels are. I do honestly prefer the gel formula over the lacquer just because it's a little bit creamier, a little bit thicker, and it was easier for me to work with, as well as that extended wear time. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one is so close to being completely opaque in one coat. I did go in a little bit thicker here. I'm going to go ahead and cure it and then show you how it builds up with a second coat. My camera did deepen this up a little bit. My skin tone is usually about an NC15, so you can kind of tell the difference there. The second coat, though, for sure brings this one completely opaque. If you wanted to go in thinner, I would recommend that as well. So here's a look at that completed mani with gel on my middle nail and lacquer on the others, all at 2 coats before a glossy top coat. This is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath artificial lighting. So next up is Laced Up, and this is again just a little bit deeper, a little bit more pink in terms of cream tone. I know that you ladies that are professional really like having options in your nude tones. I even thought about skipping these swatches because they looked a little bit similar on camera. The photos, however, are a very true indicator of that color. So I'll give you a quick look at how Laced Up swatched on my natural nail. In the Dare to Wear lacquer, it does have a bit of that squishy, clean feeling. I really love this even at one coat. It was really close to being a full coverage. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry and then show you how it builds up with that second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I did go in for just a nice and normal coat, and it brought this one completely opaque with no fuss or mess or anything like that. These are really easy to use and really clean and professional looking. So next I'll show you how the Laced Up Cream Gel formula applied. Here's a quick look at that brush shot. Super creamy, a little bit on the thicker, sticky side, but very easy to work with. So here's a look at that first coat of the gel. This one goes on really easy, really smooth, a little bit tacky here, but made for a nice even base here of coverage. I did still have quite a bit of nail line left with this one, so I'm going to go ahead and cure that and then show you how it builds up for me with a second coat. I really do love this one. Even at one coat, it makes for just a nice, really clean look. However, the second coat does easily bring this one completely opaque. I'm going to cure it once more and then show you the completed mani. So here's a look at that finished mani with that gel on my middle nail and the lacquer on the others. A really close match here again. This is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath artificial lighting. So next up is Honey Buns, and this is one of the few polishes in this collection that lean a little bit more brown toned or camel, more of a tan kind of khaki color. Here's a quick look at that bottle, and then I'll give you a look at the brush shot. And then I'll show you how Honey Buns swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Like the others, this one does build up to a nice clean coverage here. I do have some nail line going on, and it's a little bit squishy. I'll let that dry and then show you how it builds up for me with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. I'm just going in for a nice and normal coat here, and it does bring this one to full coverage. I had a little bit of a low spot there, but it evened out all on its own. So next I'll show you how the Honey Buns in the gel formula applies. So here's a look at that bottle shot. You can already tell the huge difference in the formula there. I'll go ahead and show you how it's swatched on my natural nail. I did go in a little bit thick here, definitely thicker than I recommend, so I'm going to try to thin it out a bit. It does make for a nice even coverage, really close to being completely opaque, but not quite there. I'm going to go ahead and cure it and then show you how it builds up with the second coat. It should be no surprise here, but the second coat does bring this one completely opaque. I felt that this one was a little bit more camel tone for my skin tone, but it was still pretty flattering. It has almost peach tones here. Here's a look at that completed mani with gel on my middle nail and lacquers on the other. This is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath artificial lighting before even a glossy top coat, so nice and shiny here. So next up is Baby Doll, and I do believe that this is the darkest pink of the collection. It has a little bit of rose tones in there, very delicate, still very light and clean and nude, but just a little bit deeper. So here's a look at that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Baby Doll swatched on my natural nail. Here's a look at that first coat. This one, just like the others, goes on super smooth, a little bit squishy. I did flood my cuticle there. That was totally my fault for going in a little bit thicker. I just cleaned it right up with acetone and a clean-up brush. So there you can see that one coat makes for pretty nice coverage. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it builds up with the second coat, and that second coat does completely cover my nail line and brings this one completely opaque. It does dry down to that beautiful glossy finish. So next I'll show you how Baby Doll swatched in the gel formula. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick look at that brush shot. Again, just super creamy, really beautiful formula. I'll go ahead and show you how it swatched for me on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat of a Baby Doll. It does make for really close to full coverage application. I did go ahead and even this coat out, let it cure, and then I'll show you how it built up for me with the second coat. Here's a look at that second coat. It does just fill in any low spots and brings this one completely opaque. This is another really beautiful option, especially for you professional ladies. So here's a look at that completed mani with gel on my middle nail. This was the one polish in the system where I felt there was kind of a marked difference between the gel and lacquer finish. The gel is just maybe a little bit lighter. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath that artificial lighting. Lastly, today I have Cocoa Kisses, and this is the deepest nude camel tone. Still fairly light, but with just a little bit more of that deep tone. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick look at that brush shot, and then I'll show you how Cocoa Kisses swatched on my natural nail. So here's a quick look at that first coat. This one goes on just as smooth and easy as the others. It may be just a touch thinner, or I may have finally gotten the application of these down to where I did a nice even coat. I didn't go too thick or too thin with this one, and it made for awesome coverage. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry and then show you how it builds up with a second coat. Honestly, I do love all of these at one or two coats, depending on the look that you're going for. One coat is going to make for a nice, juicy, clean bubble bath type feel, and two coats is going to bring it completely opaque. So next I'll show you how the Cocoa Kisses gel swatched on my natural nail. Here's a quick look at that brush shot. It does look a little bit deeper here, but that's totally a trick of my lighting. So I'll go ahead and show you how it's swatched on my natural nail. This is a very beautiful Cafe au lait type shade. Very light, very creamy. One coat made for almost complete coverage. Not quite though. I'm going to go ahead and cure it and then show you how it builds up for me in a second coat. So here's a look at my second and final coat, and this does for sure bring this one completely opaque. to a nice, beautiful, glossy finish. I did have to remove that tacky later with some alcohol, but it's no issue at all, especially for that added wear time. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath that artificial lighting, and that does wrap up my swatch and review of the Exposed collection that is available right now from LeChat Nails. Again, I'll link her storefront and social media down below. If you'd like to see more photos, I do have those available on my blog at sloppyswatches.com, or you can also follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.